Sally there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the review of Sweet Apocalypse by Lambert, a pianist from Hamburg. Lambert is an artist not too much is known about as a person. He first grew to fame by reimagining already existing songs on the piano and posting videos of that on YouTube. He wears a Spanish bull mask, and so do the guest musicians on his live acts. His first album released in 2014, and he has been quite diligent since then, releasing one album per year, making Sweet Apocalypse his fourth. What Lambert presents you with his album here is an interesting take on modern classical music, with all tracks revolving around the piano as a main instrument. And while that's not the only instrument being used, it very clearly is always the front and center of the songs. The album is basically completely instrumental, except from one track which has these ghostly oohs going on in the background, which I'm personally fine with, but I have to admit that at some points I would have liked some sort of vocals to go along with the songs. But that might also be just habitation on my side, because I usually don't listen primarily to instrumental music, and as such I am maybe just conditioned to also expect some sort of lyrics and vocals with my songs. Lambert, however, manages to create a variety of dreamy soundscapes without a singer just fine. Overall, the album has a very calm atmosphere to it, almost meditative at times, and while there are tracks that have a little bit more pressure behind them, Lambert steers completely clear of any compositions that you might want to call aggressive or anything alike. Except maybe the track A Thousand Cracks, which picks up a bit of speed and has the aforementioned background vocals going on, which puts it a bit at odds with the rest of the album because it sounds somewhat spooky and eerie, something you won't find on the rest of the album. So, in that regard, I personally feel the title of the album is a bit misleading because you really don't find any trace of an apocalypse on this album whatsoever. Now, as I mentioned before, the piano is the centerpiece of this album, but it gets accompanied by various other instruments. Alongside the piano, we have drums, horns, trombone, what I think is an oboe, and even a saxophone at some point, all garnered with little effects I would assume come out of the computer here and there. What is so fascinating about Lambert's use of these supporting instruments is how dialed down they are, which I think Aftermath shows best. This track throws a few saxophone notes at you in the end, taking you completely by surprise, because there was simply no trace of the saxophone prior to this one moment. The saxophone, however, is played so softly and gently that it goes along incredibly well with the piano, better than I ever imagined these two instruments to synergize with each other. Lambert also makes sure to never overuse these other instruments. Many of them get only one appearance on the whole album, which keeps them feeling fresh and simply just not overused. The aforementioned saxophone was such a pleasant and outstanding surprise to me because it only happened once on the whole thing. And even the playtime kinda factors into this too. With 36 minutes, it's a bit on the short side of overall playtime, I think, but I found it exactly to be the right length so it won't overstay its welcome. While I enjoyed the album quite a lot, I would have really liked to see what Lambert can do with more instruments. The short intermezzos, other instruments besides the piano show, he can arrange them incredibly well together and create different moods if he wants to. Most of the songs, however, seem to go for the same calm, relaxing atmosphere, and at some points during my listenings it felt almost a bit dull, I guess. It's not that I didn't like what I was hearing, but rather that I would have liked to see what Lambert could do with more. He proves he got this almost meditative atmosphere nailed down almost perfectly. But I can only imagine what he could have pulled off if he had thrown a few more instruments into the mix, maybe some more unconventional ones too. Then again, this might have also disturbed the coherence between the tracks, but somehow I'm sure, looking back on this project, Lambert could have made it work altogether really, really well. So, in conclusion, I really think the title is a bit of a misnomer, but Lambert manages to deliver beautiful neoclassic compositions with interesting interspersions from instruments beside his piano. Overall, the album is calm and easy to listen to, but to me, the moments where the instruments work together were really the best parts of this album, and the most interesting ones too. The different influences you can find here, I think, should please listeners, even if they're not hardcore neoclassic fans, while purists will probably sneer at the notion like some elite snobs. Beautiful compositions and interesting combinations of instruments make this an enjoyable album though, and I for one definitely enjoyed my time with it. So, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like or just subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet for more Sounds German stuff. I do post at least once a week. You can also follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Links are in the description. Also in the description you can find shopping links to the album if you are curious, or any relevant music videos if there are any. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Have a nice day. Salida.